to find what has been lost. What are you willing to do? What are you willing to sacrifice? Do you remain steadfast, or do you give in to temptation?
Hi everyone, we're back. It's been a while, only a week, but here we are to continue with some more Cult Downfall. We have a party to get to. I'm excited. Are you guys excited?
Oh, I'm excited.
No.
I can see Jack, just like myself, is more than a little horny. Down for the party. Somebody definitely clip that.
Oh my god.
Yeah! We haven't even started and I've already broken them. Alright. I am, of course, Rendis of Party Wipe Games, the storyteller. That's really what's important for me. I don't have a whole lot to share. What is important are these wonderful, lovely players who are each wearing their own mask. Yes, Sphinx is also a mask of pure stoicism, stony-faced, cold. There's probably something very sinister and evil lurking below it. And since I've called him out directly, why don't we start with you? Tell us who you are and who you're playing.
I'm Sphinx. Today I'll be playing Professor Delvin Cole, who's made a very weird deal, walked away from a very weird deal with an otherworldly being.
Yep. There's no way that that's gonna come back to get him. From Professor Cole, we'll shoot upward to our good friend Dido.
Hello, I'm Dido. I will be playing Ashlyn West, the girlfriend, well, ex-girlfriend, I guess, who last time we played in a bit of trauma, cut her own hand. I'd say.
Alright. And then across the way and down, because she likes to go last, so we will jump over to Jack.
Hello, I'm Count Jacula. I'm playing Ezekiel, a strange Russian expat who used to know our good friend, who seems to have a lot of connections to the underworld and other strange things. I will be your obviously shifty character for the evening.
I just got done hyping you up about being the not shifty one in the tunnel. How can you say that? I told them you were the best boy who does nothing wrong. You're making me a liar. And last but certainly never least, our scribbles.
Yes. I just like to enjoy the moment and listen to everyone. But hi everyone, I am Scribbles. You can see me as Scribbles or as Weave the Tail in the chat. And tonight I will be playing Nora, the twin of Noah, who is the best boy. And just to make it clear, Ashlyn is an ex-girlfriend. There's nothing that's going to ever happen there. And we don't know Ezekiel. I'm sure he's fine. But yeah. And I have a pet dog.
Yep,
Who is
he's
the
the
best
best dog.
I know.
Well, who's the bestest boy? The doggy or the brother?
I love them differently. Is my honest answer. Oh, and I got a creepy Ashland doll too.
Yeah.
All good things.
There is a wonderful, wonderful doll. Okay, so we're going to jump right into the action, which is not actually action, but it's you all arriving in downtown New York. It's much later in the day after your visit to the crack house, the information you had gained about what was going on, and just a brief talk between the professor and Ezekiel about a run-in he had on in the parking lot on his way to meet up with the rest of you all. It seems all of that is behind you now, and after finding a meter to park at and leaving enough change to keep your car unticketed for a couple hours, you four have arrived on the outskirts of Xanadu. From the street, the sidewalk that you're currently on, it looks like a normal, everyday New York street. The sun is still high in the sky. People are walking about. Cars pass. There's the light honking and din of metropolitan living. And you all step out in your current normal clothing, because we haven't changed yet. We don't walk out in the streets dressed like this. Certainly not. But you look down and you see that there is an alleyway that the building had opened up to a side door with a neon sign with a dark illumination and purple neon that gives off the spelling of the club Xanadu. The alley itself is pretty bare. There's no signs of homeless making their way into it or too much trash, but it's just a dark alleyway that seems devoid of the sunlight.
So are we ready to go in?
Yeah.
Wait, yeah. I will note that Nora totally has one of those purses that like has the dog within it and is like trying to make sure that it's a little hidden, but she's bringing the dog.
Trying to sneak the dog in. I'm for it.
Yeah.
Who's the first to step into the alley?
I will, since
I
I've been
will.
here before.
So between Zeke and Ashlyn, the two of you quickly move to step inside. It doesn't truly matter who's first, but as the two of you cross over, you notice that something has shifted. The air feels a little more oppressive. It feels a little more sooty, like there's a heavy pollutant in the air, the kind of air quality that degrades significantly in a place that heavily burns coal. And the light from the street seems to dim significantly now that you've crossed over, and things seem more like it's gone from early afternoon to near twilight hours, a point where the sun should have long set.
Is
You
this
still
the same
see them.
experience I had the first time I came in?
Mm-hmm. And with that, you may make me a roll if you wish to see through the illusion.
Would that be soul?
It would be soul.
14.
You have a 14
11.
and an 11. All right. I'm going to go from the top down. So with a 14 on this side. Oh, you both actually get the same thing. You see reality, but you also affect the illusion. You both become aware that stepping through the threshold that is outside the entrance to Xanadu, that you're not quite in New York anymore. You see where the brickwork has decayed or crumbled away, and in the cracks there's the sound of gears turning or a faint tick of like a mechanical grandfather clock, and it's always just out of sight within the walls. And the club itself, the sign, seems much larger. It seems the light that it should be giving off seems to instead be absorbing the light around it, and only those neon purple letters stand out from where it is. Just the word Xanadu.
I don't think we're in Kansas anymore, Zeke.
No, I believe we started in New York, so I'd be very surprised if we were.
And we're not in New York
Enter.
anymore, if you want to be literal.
What are the professor and dear Nora doing?
Just follow them through into the alley.
Nora's
Yeah, I think she'll take a moment outside to just sort of catch her breath and look down at the dog before going in with the others.
You look down at the dog, and the dog looks up at you with its glossy black eyes and its little wet nose, and it sticks out its tongue, and it does that thing where the dog tilts its head to try and understand what you're thinking, and it just says, "You have to go inside." The answers are within.
Okay. Yeah, without hesitating anymore, she'll go in.
And the two of you can make me a plus soul roll to see through the illusion as you cross over. Oh, I was getting a delay there. There it is. With the 14.
That's 13.
Okay, 13 and 14 keep you two within the same threshold. The illusion tears around the both of you as well, and you can see that the world that had been constructed around this place is false. It's quite literally an illusion. And you see what's underneath it, the cracks and the sound of the gears and faint ticking and the strangely drawing presence of the sign. And you see that Ashlyn and Zeke are ahead of you. Zeke has started to make his way towards the sign. Underneath the sign is one of those hanging canopies that marks the entrance to an establishment, and there's a little red carpet and a door. And when you arrive at the door, it has one of those sliding latches where the doorman can peek out without exposing themselves too much. It just takes a little knock, and the latch slides across. And when the four of you are there, you hear a familiar voice. Someone that you had seen before earlier when this all began. Ah, Master Ezekiel. It's good to see you finally arrived.
Igor, how are you?
It's Howler, sir.
I like Igor better.
Have you brought the others? You just see the pair
Yes.
of beady eyes look behind you.
It's like, of course.
Very good. We've been expecting you. And there's the sound of a series of latches and bars sliding, and then the slow creak of an unoiled set of hinges turning, and the slow of the door opening. And a little bit of dust falls between the door frame as it's pulled back, and you see the short man with a long face and hands larger than they should be that are connected to a little disheveled suit. But he looks up at you all and he says, Mistress Ashlyn, it's been so long since your last visit to Xanadu. I trust you remember the dress code.
That I do, and I, can't really wear it out.
Oh, we are getting only pieces of you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Move my microphone then. I remember. Not really something you can wear in the streets in New York, though.
Mm-hmm. No, of course not. Not for the sensible of mind and proclivity. Please come inside to the changing room. And he just hobbles his way after the door is closed.
What has it been, Mr. Howler? 6, 7 weeks since we last saw each other here?
Has it only been that long? Thought it had been more.
Honestly, the weirdness that happened feels like it was only yesterday.
Time flies when we're having fun.
Most of it was fun, yes.
Howler leads the four of you down a hallway. You see that this establishment has an airy boudoir sort of look to it. The kind of upscale parlor that rich individuals attend to in secret. The lighting is faint and warm. The walls seem to have a handcrafted wooden love and care, but behind it all, there's an old, musty sense about it. It seems like at some point someone had stopped cleaning, and you can see where the wood is dried or spotted with flecks of mold here and there. But he takes you down to a room where there are lockers for you to store your things, and an assortment of outfits for you each to try on. And he says, I trust you'll find these to your liking. You'll find each fits quite nicely.
I brought my own this time around.
Are we all in the same locker room?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just get to it.
Is there not one for men and women?
Mistress
Not
Nora.
every.
He gestures for you to continue.
Don't worry. We will all be seeing enough of each other. It will be fine.
Quite
You're
right.
gonna see enough of everyone.
There's no shame here in Xanadu. You'll find that this is probably less revealing than what's to come.
I mean, we're not really here to party. We're just. Okay.
When in Rome, as they say.
Yes.
Trust me, Nora, it's easier to go along with it, even if you don't plan to party.
And,
Queen Ashland's just starting to take off her hat and her scarf slowly.
And Sphinx, for the disadvantage roll, was that your first disadvantage or the second one?
The second one.
Okay. Oh, that's unfortunate. You
But who
with
exactly?
such a great roll, you don't feel that there's anything over your shoulder keeping an eye on things. You certainly don't feel any worry from the warning you had received just earlier that day. Nothing yet. But you're always on the lookout. So
Yeah,
what
he's
does
just-
everybody... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
He's just calmly taking off his shirt and his jacket. No, he wasn't wearing his jacket today. He's just taking off his shirt.
And what does everybody decide to change into? This is very much the sort of club that has the eyes wide shut mentality, but there are a number of masks that can be adorned and items of lingerie for both the male and female variety that can be put on for some tasteful concealment, but you each find that it doesn't quite cover enough, and while it leaves some to the imagination, there are still places that don't need to be mentioned that might be a little exposing and vulnerable.
Are we allowed to take bags in, or do we have to leave everything here?
Usually, last time I was here, all anybody had was what they were wearing. I don't remember seeing any bags. They don't allow any street clothes in.
Yes. I would strongly encourage you to leave behind your worldly possessions.
Oh, okay. And she moves over to a locker where she sets down the bag that has the puppy in it, and she just sort of very gently pats its head and
there's
are you
the
gonna be
sudden
okay?
there's a soft doggy whimper that comes from the bag, and before you know it, Nora, Howler is standing at your side, and he says, "Oh, I see. This one is most welcome."
I'm okay. I mean, I don't want anything to happen to him. No shame in anything, but
Mhm. No, we don't keep shame here, Miss Nora.
okay. She'll like lift him out and just like hold him close.
He says, "Might I recommend?" And he holds out a spiked collar with a little chain leash and a little leather hat and a vest.
Oh my god. What about his saddle? He needs a saddle.
Yes. She's totally putting all that on him.
And so the good boy has been added to the VIP list. What about everybody else? What are we wearing?
I'm wearing a tight leather vest adorned with silver spikes and a red velvet patch in the center of it that's reminiscent of exposed muscle. And the rings are attached as if it was actually being attached to my skin. I have a large leather skirt, I guess you would call it, and a red robe with the hood down. And if I can find a pair of boots that make me 5 inches taller, I do so.
I'll allow it. Anyone else?
Yeah, so Ashlyn actually wore in what she's gonna wear because she was kind of skeeved out by wearing something that somebody else might have worn even the first time that she was there. So she remembers what happened the last time they were at Xanadu, and she's kind of hoping to draw a certain ex-boyfriend out. So she brought something from her private collection, and it's just straps that just lift the boobs and come up around the neck, and then a strap down the front, and then 2 straps to lift the butt. With purple bows on the hips and right above the boobs. And there are 2 attachments. And on one side, she clips on her whip. And on the other side, instead of putting it on, there's just this thin purplish black leather collar with a heart in the middle and a tag. And she just clips it to the other side. And she has a pair of black pumps, and that's all she's wearing.
I like it.
Her mask is very similar to this, purple and black.
The professor, he actually pulled clothes out of his own bag, and he's wearing a white open chest vest with gold lining, a silk shirt vest, and basically black leather pants. Very simple. And he puts on a mask that's black with gold lining on the mask.
Yep. I feel like Nora borrowed something from Ashlyn, luckily, and it's just a very simple sort of black lace lingerie that just doesn't hug her anywhere. It just kind of just falls gracefully across like her curves and in an almost innocent fashion as you can have with lingerie in a sort of way. But yeah, definitely a little bit tamer.
Once everybody has gotten their outfits together and changed, eyes may have stayed towards the ceiling or the floor, maybe snuck a glance or two at one another, but now you're all dressed and gathered at the entrance of the main hall. And Howler smiles up at you all, the row of crooked yellow teeth. He says, "Welcome back for some of you. Welcome to the show for those of you who are new. I welcome you to Xanadu." And he pulls the door open, and immediately the four of you are hit by the smell of heavy incense and perfumes, sweat, other musky human scents, and you can hear over the soft sounds of ambient music the moans and pants of other individuals who had arrived here before you. Xanadu is arranged in such a way that there is a center stage where a large rounded bed is available for people to pile in and congregate. There are also booths situated on opposite walls where more private seating, in quotes, could be arranged for individuals, couples, or those who want to keep it a little more intimate. A bar is also available on the far side, rows of dusty bottles, and currently not manned by any tender, but Howler gestures to it and says, "If you require anything to settle your nerves before the festivities begin, I can make you something upon request. But feel free to mingle, and don't hesitate to join in on the fun."
You remember what happened last time I joined in?
It was quite the show.
Speaking of, has Master Noah made an appearance tonight?
That makes him pause, and he considers for a moment, and he looks up at you, and he shakes his head. "I have not seen either of the two guests that were here at Xanadu with you the last time you were here. Master Noah, while he has been seen about town and has had contact with myself through the college, of course, Xanadu is not somewhere he had been, but somewhere we had been expecting, but not just yet."
If he shows, let him know I'm here. Looking
If I
for him.
see him, you will be the first to know. And when he says that, he kind of sidelong glances at Nora.
Yeah, her lips kind of settle into like this thin line, and she just seems very irritated. You mean you've seen Noah recently?
Recently? No. But I do know where he may be. he's not quite ready for his debut.
Nora will take a step closer to Mr. Howler and drop her voice. If you tell Ashlyn where Noah is before you tell me, then you will not be leaving this club walking.
He smiles, a large, crooked smile, and he says, "Is that a promise of reward or punishment?"
I'll make sure that you know it's a punishment.
I hope so. He just seems to be nibbling on his large fingers now with anticipation. Can you make a roll for me? Just
Yes.
+0, because you have a disadvantage that's working into this.
Ooh. Just a straight roll, or am I rolling?
+0.
Okay.
Yes, this is your second disadvantage that we're utilizing.
Okay. Aha.
Ah. Gosh, why do you guys want to keep rolling so good?
So we've been rolling so
What happened to
Welcome
last
to
game's rolls? Guys, get those retweets out so I can start putting some disadvantages on them. This is a call to action once again. Weave the tail cat, or viewers. Help me win the game once more. Okay. Nora, you deliver your threat, but otherwise you remain calm. It's a good way to put it. But he seems giddy at the prospect of potentially being punished by you, by Noah's twin. And when he finally seems to get himself back under control, he says, Are you implying you can't feel him? You don't know where he is?
She just pauses and stares at him for a moment. He's in a room somewhere, but
He is.
do you know where?
He
Is that
he lifts up onto his toes to whisper into your ear so that you're the only one who can hear it. But he says, there are those within the club that know where the master is being held. It's not time for him to be made public. But if you can figure out where he is, there may still be time.
Can you point out any of these people to me?
I feel like that would require if you could please roll me a influence other plus charisma.
All right. This will be when I get a bad roll.
You had to say it. I
I
am
know.
legally obligated to remind you you have a reroll. But it is your last
yes.
one where everyone else has the banked.
we're gonna use it, because damn it, I'm gonna find my brother.
Okay. It has been used.
The universe has made itself known.
It is known. Howler thinks for a moment. His expression darkens a bit, and he says, I could introduce you to one such individual, if you wish, but they may require payment for information.
I will do whatever it takes to find Noah.
That just makes him smile again. And he runs a gross little stubby tongue across his yellow teeth, and he says, very well. If you'll follow me, Mistress Nora, I will take you to them.
Yeah, she will follow him, like, without even looking at the others.
So, whether the others choose to follow or not, Howler's attention is only on you, and he shambles his way down to one of the occupied booths, where there is a individual seated on another rather large, comfortable-looking bed with a light purple silk sheets, and they're reclined, holding a glass of wine, and there's like a box of, or not a box, but a plate of like assorted fruits and cheeses. And for all intents and purposes, this is a attractive attractive male. Emphasis on human. An attractive male. He has handsome features, a nice body, and I'm leaving these descriptions vague because this is all what should be appealing to Nora. These features look attractive to her, and the audience can, of course, interpret the attractiveness to whatever best suits them, because it's Xanadu, so everybody should enjoy what they're looking at. And he is dressed in equally light purple silk kimono robes that are currently open to expose their chest and, well, frankly, the rest of their body, completely hairless. And they sit up and they say, Howler, what have you brought me? He says, one who wishes to know, master. He says, very good. Bring her close. He gestures for you to step in.
She steps in.
And we'll cut the camera back to the other three. There was a private conversation between Howler and Nora before she was let off. And you would see her disappear into one of these private booths before Howler draws the curtain on it. What do the three of you do now that she is gone?
Professor made sure to keep his eye on her as she walked off, given what happened before.
She might need a little time. I know what happens behind those curtains. Then she will go willingly.
Mm-hmm.
Are you allergic to the must?
No. I am just, something got up my nose.
Too much cocaine.
Not yet. Perhaps over time, it does damage to the nasal cavities. Yeah.
And sure enough, with the mention of too much cocaine, a barely dressed woman walks by holding just a platter with lines and a little rolled up paper disposable straws because New York is progressive and they don't use uh, plastic anymore. They encourage that recyclability for their cocaine snorting.
I'll just take a bump.
So what?
Just a quick hit.
Yeah.
Ashlyn passes.
The professor
So
takes
what?
a bump.
No.
What actually brings you to a place like this to find Noah? Ezekiel, you don't look the type to go out of your way to look for somebody out of the goodness of your heart, if you even have one.
Well, to be quite frank, Ashlyn, neither do you. I don't know
Before, yes, I probably
exactly
would have
how
looked for
innocent
him.
Nora is or is not, but I know for a fact you are not.
And I know you are not. And I am sure the professor is not either. I knew him before, and I watched his downfall. You were there for the downfall. But what does the professor play in all of this?
Turn around, look.
Simply an observer.
Are you observing or are you seeking?
Is there any difference?
There is a universe
There is a big difference.
You see, to observe something is to be passive, dispassionate. Seeking requires engagement. A hunter seeks. Anyone can observe.
I take Ezekiel as a seeker.
Does Ashlyn say that?
Yes.
Something like that. And yourself?
I am definitely seeking.
But what, I wonder, what are you seeking here? Why are you really here?
I'm looking for Noah. I
No,
made
you're
a
not.
promise to Nora and myself to find him. I don't think
No,
we have
no,
the
no.
same
That
reasons
is your
to want to
excuse.
find him.
That is your excuse. And you may want to find him, but that is your excuse. There is something else
That
pulling
is the
you
first
here.
step. The first step is to find him.
And after that?
I plan on getting my pound of flesh. An eye for an eye, as you will.
But whose do you want?
His. Now, why are you looking for him?
I'm curious. I want to see what he found. He found something. I am not entirely sure what. But I intend to find out.
So he found something. And you want that something? Or are you finding it for your own pleasure?
Depends on what it is. We could say I am of two minds on the subject.
Well, I think we can help each other out. Nora's too much in denial of who Noah was before. Has no idea what he's done since, what he's capable of doing.
This is true.
She could help us find him, but she might be a problem later. If we find him, someone's going to have to take care of her. Distract her, whatever it takes. Or else we, whatever the professor wants, you or I, Ezekiel, for us to get what we want, she can't be there. Because I'm sure whatever he has that you want, he's not going to part with lightly.
I can take responsibility for Nora.
And Okay. I've been kind of working on her a little bit, here or there. But
I had the suspicion.
Noah took some things from me. It's time to get them back.
Is it something you can get back?
I mean, if he took my mobility, I can take his.
I see. You
saw
do
what he did to me,
realize.
as everybody else in the room can now see.
Yes, I have. Are you sure you can get that back? Would it not
make me
be
feel better at least.
better to drop all this and focus on what you want? Is revenge really what you want?
There's something else I
It
want.
may not be the same as what you need.
I'm not looking for what I need, I'm looking for what I want. Wants and needs are two different things.
All right then, as long as we are clear on the subject.
I don't plan on killing him. He left me alive, didn't he?
Fair enough. But bear in mind, something else may have become attached to him. It may not want to
And
let
if that's
go
the
very
case,
easily.
she's not going to let us, Nora's not going to let us do anything to him if he fights to keep whatever has a hold of him.
Nora, I am less worried about. All right. So, how do we find our dear Noah?
Well, last time I was here, when people hit on me, he used, I don't know, some kind of magic and everybody walked away or stopped what they were doing to watch. But he's not here right now, so that wouldn't work this time. Ask around, I guess?
He's not here yet. Who would know?
Yeah.
Igor would know.
Caller would know. Probably our best bet. Who would know? He's the only person here that I know. I don't recognize anybody else around here, do I, Ren?
Would you like to make a roll to see?
Sure. Observe the situation, I guess?
Yep.
10.
Do you recognize anyone here? That would be your question. Besides Howler, it would be hard to tell. Everybody is wearing a mask, and no two masks are exactly alike. In back during the New Year's celebration, the masks were of a different theme. They didn't quite look like this. I had to adjust mine because I'm feeling a strange amount of pressure on my nose. It's fine. We can make it. But the theme of the masks were different during the New Year's celebration when you would first come here. But you don't immediately recognize anyone. Ezekiel, please also give me a quick roll to observe a situation. And it's going to largely be the same question. Just this is more of a, do you see anyone who looks familiar?
I got a 3, so I'm gonna go with no.
Would you like to re-roll?
Sure, I will use my reroll.
All right, and you would have one more after this.
Aha, that would bring it to a 15.
15, which would bring it. So I'm going to go ahead and use your first question, but you would be free to have another, which would include, what is my best way through this? What currently poses the biggest threat? What can I use to my advantage? What should I be on the lookout for? What is being hidden from me? What seems strange about this? For the first question of, do you recognize anyone here? You do actually notice a few individuals that you associate with within the school and outside. Their masks never really change, and you've always seen them from shadowy vantage points where they think they're being clever and trying to conceal their identity. But it's one of those situations where everybody knows who they are because they're the rich asshole in the room. And you see one of these individuals is seated at the bar. Their outfit is a little more conservative in the way that it is dressed, but what stands out are just a pair of assless chaps that hang over the bar stool that this older, rich white gentleman is seated, and he's currently, handling an alcoholic beverage at the bar. But it seems that they've also noticed you, as the three of you have been kind of just standing around near the entrance, getting acclimated to what's going on.
I walk over.
Did you want to pose the other question or hold it for a moment?
What poses the biggest threat?
Likely this individual. You know that the people you work for are very dangerous. You kind of saw it firsthand earlier today. Or at least you have a suspicion that they might have been putting a fire under your ass to get the job done.
All right. I go with it.
As Zeke starts walking away, I'm gonna grab his arm. I'll help you get what you need. You help me get what I want. And we try and keep Nora out of it. And I'm gonna use forked tongue, which is my new advantage. Whenever you try to manipulate someone, roll plus charisma. And that's kind of what I've been doing this whole conversation with Ezekiel. So that's an 18.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
So I have 3 options. Forked tongue, if you want to look at it, Ren, is on page... Well, it tells me 103, so it might be 102 or 104 for you. But they trust me. I can choose them to trust me. they're spellbound by me or they reveal a weakness that I can exploit later, I'm going to choose that one.
A weakness that can be exploited later?
Yes.
Ezekiel, go ahead and tell us a weakness that she can take advantage of later.
He would absolutely fuck Ashlyn.
That is something
Okay.
she can use to her advantage.
I can definitely do that. All right.
Okay.
I go up
Do
to
you
the
let
dude.
him go chat with the individual now?
Yes. Would you like to go alone or would you like some backup?
I think this conversation would be best if I had it alone. They may not say the same things in front of someone they don't know.
Very well.
I kiss her hand. I walk on. I go and greet the rich white guy.
Mm-hmm. Professor, is there any trouble you want to get up to, or are we maintaining a stoic observation?
I was just kind of keeping an eye on the curtain Nora went behind, but he's pretty much blending in to his surroundings. He looks a little too comfortable.
Looks perfectly at home here. Yeah. Let's see here. I don't have anything for you to roll that might give us some trouble, but maybe I can do one of my moves that I've been holding on to make things a little spicy for the professor. That's the wrong book. Yes. Who let the damn bird into this club? Alright, my moves.
The
Bird is
dog is
also
not
on the
really a
VIP
dog,
list.
it's a bird.
Dog is now a bird. 149. Let's see here. Professor.
The bird actually owns the club.
Yeah, the bird owns the club. It's been Howler the whole time. Definitely been utilizing that one. Okay. There's one that's just called Take Their Stuff. I'm just going to steal this from you. Alright. Professor, as you're moving through the crowd and blending in, you're starting to notice that the mood of the club is very precise. People are here to have fun, and to have fun in the most base and carnal of ways. The invitation to this club was 120 hours of Sodom, and the theming kind of goes back to that biblical sense of the city that had been destroyed, but it was destroyed for all of the lewd and depraved acts that could be done within a wicked city. And you're seeing it here. The theme of bondage and dom and submissives are prevalent amongst many of the booths and people who are there. You notice at one point that a pair walk by, a man dressed in merely cowboy boots, a gold Speedo, and a pair of dog ears is holding on to a chain that leads to a woman in a collar who has long red hair and is completely naked as she is crawling by on all fours. And you kind of blink and look at it, and then look to the curtains and shake the thought off as you notice that the woman isn't red-haired at all, but is blonde, and the gentleman is not wearing dog ears. But it was just the briefest of moments. It seemed strange to cross your mind. But as you're watching all of these people, it's all still very tame to you. Nobody's quite hit that point that has tantalized your interest. You've seen this all before, and it's probably still very boring.
Yeah, he's mostly observing not just the mood, but is observing what each person is getting up to, like things that seem familiar, and some things that might have changed. Just like you said, he's observing. Like
there's clear adaptability and progress from when you were younger. People are mimicking things with more unique application and different tools that weren't quite available to you when it was your turn to be exploring these things. Something of interest that might stand out is you see, down one booth there's an individual who is being suspended, but they have these hooks that are inserted just at the shoulder blades where the skin is nice and loose, and it's not in a way that is meant to be painful or torturous, but they are held and suspended, and they're just being pushed and swung around in a circular motion, mimicking flight. There is a very clear bleeding from puncturing where these hooks had been inserted, but the person is surprisingly looking like they are enjoying both the sensation of the suspension and the feeling of the centrifugal force of being sent around and the pull on their skin. But even that is probably still relatively tame, despite the plastic that is set on the floor to keep the blood that drips down their back from staining anything.
Yeah. Conventional pain is.
Mm-hmm. And
get over it.
Pain heals. And it really is just that. Trivial, old news. Is there something that might spur the professor's interest if you were to see it here?
I think it would probably be something a bit more subdued. Everyone seems like they're rushing, impatient. Like, he thinks back to at the college party when he was dancing and just more of a mental thing than physical. So if there's any music playing, he's probably tuning into that.
And there is. It's a very soft and purposely ambient inducing kind of it's an electronic music, but it's very rhythmic, low pulsations that encourage the gyrations of the body, and the rhythm is something that, well, quite frankly, you can fuck to if you really followed it. And that's the intent here. And it's not so low that it can't be heard, but it's not so loud that it would drown out too much conversation. But you don't hear, the sounds of people, more than 10 feet away from you, because there's a lot of people in this club and the music still has to filter some of it out. But you can focus on the music and enjoy.
So if he's feasting on anything, it's probably just the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot to take in. And while a lot of it fails to meet that interest, when you hold it all in collectively, the individual experiences coalesce into a greater thing for you to take in. And it becomes your show to watch and listen, and you just trance out to the sound of the music. Let me have a keep it together roll. Roll plus willpower. 18.
18.
Okay. This is not quite the same that's going to be on this table. This was more to see if you get lost in the moment, but you're a master at this. You bask in the sensation, but you maintain that level of control, your own personal sense of dominance through it all. You're not lost to any of the feelings, but you keep yourself grounded, as it were, and you just enjoy it.
Yeah. He did come here with a goal. That's probably what keeps his mind a bit more focused.
And I think that's where Howler approaches, and he tugs on your outfit to draw your attention, and he looks up at you with a smile and he says, "Professor, a word, if you please."
And he'll gesture like there's a seat nearby for the two of them to sit.
And so the two of you wander off. I apologize because the end of the scene. Ashlyn, did you go with Zeke, or are you still on your own?
No, I was still with the professor.
You were still with the professor. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't mind if she's listening.
No, it's fine. Just leave me here by myself. And she just starts dancing by herself because everybody left.
Yep.
No, he's
Ashlyn,
not walking that far off. He's just sitting down.
He's going to take a seat nearby and have a conversation with Howler. But though he's not physically too far away, it feels like an ocean has risen up between you. Once again, you're alone, and everybody has left you adrift. Xanadu brings back feelings, emotions. You remember New Year's. You remember being drunk. You remember how your two friends, Noah and another, had come here. How you all had partied. How you had performed center stage for the countdown. How the three of you had reached and shared a climax at the stroke of midnight. And then how the celebration had promptly ended when you all had snapped back from the pleasure and sensations of what had been going on. You kind of pushed those thoughts out of your mind for a long time, but now as you're here again, it all seems to be coming back to you. How weird this place had been at the time. How everybody had seemed very interested in Noah in particular. Eyes had been on you, but ultimately it seemed you had just been something that was necessary to get him here. and it seemed like everybody was keen on making sure that something had happened before the stroke of midnight. You kind of feel like you had played right into their plans as you were looking around and seeing that the setup isn't quite the same now, but the players are still there. And now they seem to be having the same kind of interest in Nora for some reason. And here you are again as just an accessory piece.
She kind of takes it all a little bit in stride, like while she's dancing, and she kind of mutters to herself and goes, "It's okay, Emily. We'll find him. He'll know what he almost lost." Because for her, that night at Xanadu is actually a good night, a good memory.
Excellent. And so you don't let those thoughts and feelings invade your mind. They can't control you if you don't let it bother you. But you have this time to kind of think and collect yourself. Do you go to spy on any of the other three?
Nope. She knows what happened last time she was at Xanadu, and she knows that Noah will find her. She doesn't need to go looking for him.
All right.
He always finds her.
Well, we'll take it back to Nora then. Nora, you've been introduced to this individual. Names are not something that's exchanged in Xanadu, but if you had to call him anything, he would say you could address him as Mr. Pink. And Mr. Pink pats the bed and gestures for you to get comfortable and sit. And he says, "Howler informed me that you had questions, and I might be able to help."
I'm looking for my brother Noah.
Noah. Yes, I see the resemblance. You're the spitting image of him. Far more attractive, of course. His efforts were merely an invitation, where you are Venus incarnate.
Can you tell me where I can find him?
That depends. I was told you were willing to pay for the information.
She will place a hand lightly on his thigh. Just the lightest of touch, nothing like hard or squeezing, just kind of like that slight tease. I just want to find my brother.
You'll be pleased to know that more than a few people are looking for him. You're in luck that you came to the individual that knows exactly where he is. And I'm going to say, to not go into the full details here, you can give me a roll, either a plus coolness to, of course, be cool, or a charisma roll to try and talk the way out of this.
Ooh, let's do charisma.
Yeah, the coolness would be a more physical persuasion.
There we go. 19.
Oh my gosh, you guys are rolling so well today.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Tell me what this looks like. You did the thigh gesture and leaned in, batted your eyelashes. But what else really seals the deal for this?
So I feel like she would see that just like that slight gesture isn't enough. And she's definitely growing desperate. She wants to find Noah. So she just sort of swings her leg over so that she is sitting on top of him and just lightly, like, she doesn't kiss him, but she's just like speaking against his lips. As she sort of brings her hands up towards his neck. You will help me find my brother. And then she just like begins to like slowly apply pressure against his neck, like cutting off his airway. But not completely so that he can't talk. It just seems like she's noticed that pain seems to be something that gets through to these people.
And it's clear that it's clear as you're seated against him that yes, the pain and the squeezing is getting his attention, a rise out of him, if you will. But as he speaks softly through the pressure, he says, "I'll tell you where he is." And he kind of reaches past you to a nightstand nearby. And he just takes out a belt and he holds it up and he says, "Apply the pressure with this."
She will reach back and take it, fold it in half and kind of do that, like, pull to or tear apart like really quickly so it makes that kind of snapping sound.
Mm-hmm.
Leaning closer, she won't, and yeah, she'll wrap it around his neck. Not doing up the notches, but just like kind of pulling it taut.
To get that grip.
Yeah.
Yep. And over the course of the asphyxiation, he's able to tell you of a building not far from here. It's a rundown, abandoned building where Noah had been taken. I keep thinking that's a real honking, and I pause for it. He gives you the location of this building that is considered to the public to be abandoned. And the reason that it's meant to be abandoned is because some individuals have been keeping Noah there to keep an eye on him. And he says he doesn't know why Noah's been there, but there's whispers amongst the club goers that something wonderful is coming, and Noah is responsible for bringing it. And so they've taken him out of the public eye to where this process can be completed, and so that Noah can fulfill his task.
And you really don't. How do you know that he's there?
Well, I know because our The organization is the one responsible for having removed him from the college to make sure that he didn't hurt himself or anyone. I haven't checked on him myself. It's just that I know that's where he's been for safety.
You aren't going to warn them that I'm coming, are you?
No, of course not.
She pulls the belt even tighter around his neck. You're not going to tell them that I'm coming, right?
And he closes his eyes and his face goes a little red and he says, I'm only going to tell you that and then he chokes off his words. But it seems you have his compliance.
She holds the pressure like a second longer, and there's just sort of this small smile on her face as she lets go of the belt and just gets off of him and stands up, just sort of smoothing out her clothes. And then she like crouches down where she had left the dog and just like ruffles his ears together and just, are we gonna go find Noah now?
And the dog looks at you and says, finish him.
Finish him?
One more notch will do.
Be a good boy and make sure nobody comes in.
There's a quick nod from the dog's head.
Good boy.
The man is currently laying on his stomach, head contently in the pillow, but the belt is still nice and firmly around his neck. It wouldn't be hard to just press his head down and tighten the belt. No one would hear him.
Yeah. I don't know him. He could tell them that I'm after Noah, and then they might move him.
He can't.
Yeah, I have to do this.
If he can't speak.
Exactly. Do whatever it takes to find Noah. And she'll sort of press her knee into the small of his back and do it up one notch tighter.
Yeah. Give me a violence roll here. Let's do some violence.
What little violence?
Roll plus violence, and you're gonna have a +2 because you've got this belt, and he's not really prepared for it.
With complications.
All right, so it's you inflict damage, but at a cost. I get to choose something bad that happens. I see one. Okay. Basically, you'd be subjected to a counterattack, do less damage, those are boring. Lose something important, the dog's not going to run off. It wants you to murder. You don't have any ammo to expend, and I don't want something new to attack you, so there's only one option left. And so you feel him struggle underneath you for only a moment. Your grip is firm. you're holding him down, and between the lack of oxygen from his compressed airway and pressing his face down into the pillow, his struggles end very quickly. He was already tired, he was already spent, and you feel his body stop spasming after a few moments. It's fairly common for people to not know their own limits when they're auto asphyxiating themselves, of course. It wasn't you that did this. He must have kept going after you were done, and you leave it in such a way that makes it look like he had done this to himself, and maybe somebody will believe that when they find him.
Yeah, he did it to himself. She kind of like sits beside him for a moment and just takes a couple steadying breaths. Oh, I have to find Noah. This is to find Noah. And he did this to himself.
This is to find Noah. You see the dog is looking at you from where the curtain is, and anyone who stands in your way has to go the same.
It's the only way we can be together. Okay. Are we good to go?
No one knows a thing. It hobbles its way over to, back over to you, and just kind of looks at you expectantly to pick him up, because he's a little puppy.
Cutest puppy. Yep. She picks him up, adjusts his collar so that end is showing, and walks out of the curtained booth.
Mm-hmm. And as the two of you walk out of the curtained booth, this is when you see the professor is kind of crowd watching. He's Baron Zemo vibing with the music, just kind of swaying back and forth to the rhythm. But he kind of briefly makes eye contact with you as you walk past him. But then you see that he goes off to sit down at another table to have a conversation. While that's all happening, Zeke had headed off to go see the rich old white man and the assless chaps at the bar.
Yes. All right.
He's
Tap on the shoulder.
watching you from he's watching you from where you had been, and when you approach, and he kind of had turned back to enjoy a drink, knowing that you were going to make it, and then you tap his shoulder, and he turns and he says, "Well, it's about time y'all showed up."
Yes, there have been apparently a few interruptions.
Interruptions? You haven't found him yet.
No, but I am wondering, do you strictly need him?
Strictly speaking, no. Don't need Noah. But what's inside of him is special. And if something were to happen to him, this thing that's growing within him, I would need y'all to retrieve it. And curious, I noticed that you have one that looks just like him in your care. Were you planning to bring her to us as well, Zeke?
Possibly. It depends on what this thing growing inside of him is, exactly. Because I may have another.
If what we
Obviously.
suspect... Oh, go ahead.
Give me some symptoms, things to look for. I may have already seen it.
Nausea, bloatedness, some fatigue, symptomatic things that would mimic one were pregnant. A life growing within them. Parasite, if you were to make such a analogy.
Then do not worry. Even if the evening does not go as you had planned, you will not lose, my friend.
That's good. The house should always win.
Then I shall return to plan A, so to speak.
Very good. What about that other girl, the blonde?
The ex-girlfriend.
Yeah. Damaged goods are still goods.
It is best to keep one's eyes on the prize in these matters. A bird in the hand is worth more than two in the bush, as they say.
Well, consider it a bonus if you were to bring both of them afterwards. You don't need to bring them to us now, but I have clients that could be interested in either.
Then we will play this the long way. I will speak to you later.
And
No.
the
And I take off. Whoosh, like Batman, you know. But yeah, I just... By the blonde, what, do you mean Ashler or Nora?
Ashlyn.
Ashler, okay, that's what I thought. All right.
I see
Okay.
the face Dino was making too.
Yeah.
It's not quite blonde. It's blonde-ish.
All right. In that case, I start looking for Mr. Howler, a.k.a. Igor.
You would see that Howler is seated at a nearby booth with the professor. The two of them have been talking. Professor Howler had been discussing with you not quite the same subject matter of where Noah is, but the conversation had kind of progressed into the topic of his literature. And Howler says, "Oh yes, we've been grooming him to recognize certain aspects, things that you are aware of as well. We see that you are one who delves deep into the land of dreams. You have her kiss upon your neck.
Yeah, that was kind of my assumption. Seems he dove a little further than myself.
The uninitiated tend to stumble, and not everyone is able to pick themselves back up. Some continue to fall down the slope until their body is broken. Noah is one of these individuals that is on a perpetual free fall, and there are those who took advantage of this situation.
So is he at least safe?
For the time being, he's kept away from those who could do harm to him, or where he could do harm to others. Where he is the safest place he could be, and moving him may cause more than his own death. Just something to consider when the time comes.
So many players in this game. Wonder how many of them are
Not
pawns.
If I may be so bold, there are currently only the 4 of you. The ones who are pulling the strings all are ultimately working for the same thing. What's coming is something spectacular, something divine, something that has been within his bloodline that needs to be awakened. And when it emerges from within him, it could be magnificent or catastrophic.
I guess the excitement is in not knowing which it'll be.
Indeed. And the anticipation of having the chance to witness it. It's a shame I won't be there to see what emerges.
You have no interest, or is your attention needed elsewhere?
It would seem others wish to have conversation. But if you survive all of this, you are welcome to come back to Xanadu at any time.
I consider it if we survive. Everyone's pretty motivated to find him.
Indeed. The one thin binding that keeps the 4 of you together.
I wonder who's gonna jump first.
And Howler flashes you that yellow smile, and he says, "You assume they haven't jumped already."
Yeah.
I
It's
do
fun not
believe,
knowing.
yes, the unknown is scary at times, but the mystery, the chase, the lurking anxiety on the threshold of the darkness, these are the untamable sensations. It's what you crave most. Being safe within the fire, but looking out into the darkness and wondering what might be lurking there. It's an interesting game.
And a dangerous one.
Indeed.
A lot of risk. Unknown reward. Should be quite the show.
I have to agree. This would be when Zeke arrives.
Ah, I see you have found Howler again.
I'm never so far away, Master Ezekiel.
You mind telling us, do you know where Noah is at the moment? Is he imminent? Is he indisposed? And if so, where?
Quite indisposed. He is safe, and unfortunately will not be attending the party, but some of you may be learning quite soon where you would be able to find him. And he kind of looks over to the drawn curtain where Nora had been.
Thank you, Igor. I like calling you Igor.
I will tolerate it for a while longer.
We shall see.
Playing with fire.
I owe the curtain.
Okay. You walk over to the curtain, and the curtain had been drawn back when Nora had left. And it's not a hard thing to do to pull it back. There's no real privacy, just the illusion of it. And when you pull back the curtain, you see face down, ass up, this kimono-wearing individual. Their head is nestled gently into the pillow, and there's the strap of the belt dangled off the side of the mattress. They don't appear to be moving, but they might be sleeping. It would require closer inspection, but Nora and her dog are clearly not here.
Is there a
Would
pair
I
of
have
gloves
seen
nearby?
Nora when she left?
Yes, and the professor also saw her leave, albeit he may not have realized it at the time.
I would have followed her.
Okay. No, there are no gloves nearby, but maybe you could have kept some. Roll me plus coolness. Let's see if you were keen enough to have brought some along.
14.
14. Okay. I think that'll just be the success with an unattended consequence. So, yeah, you did manage to sneak some gloves in. You're a professional as well. So you're never too far without some handy things. And so you slide these latex gloves on and presumably head over to the individual.
Yeah, just to see if he's alive.
And you head over and you see that he hasn't moved even as you're stepping closer. And it's easy to turn him over. He's relatively light, all things considered. But as he rolls onto his back, you see that the belt is set on one of the further in notches to the point where you can see where it's making creases in the skin and the neck. And that area looks red and bruised, and his face is taken on a bluish tint, his eyes slightly bulged out. The kimono, never having been fashioned, falls around his body, and there's the rigor mortis that had set in early on for him, post-arousal, a large stain on the mattress that kind of indicates that something fun had happened here before he died. But to die face down in a pillow seems suspicious.
Right. But he is definitely, like, dead.
He's definitely dead.
I leave.
Sorry, I was adjusting this mask and it makes noise. You do what?
As I leave and I look for either Ashlyn and or Nora.
Mhm. As you step out of from behind the curtain, you feel more than a few pairs of eyes are on you as you walk out. The gloves being pulled from your hands, and you look around, and most of the party goers have stopped what they're doing, and their eyes just stay on Zeke, watching, possibly judging.
I go up to one of the nearest, like, roaming party servants.
Hmm.
And I go, there's something behind the curtain you should really see.
And this individual, a handsome young man, wearing one of those cocktail waitress trays that it has like a strap that goes around the neck, and then like two little chains that attach at the nipples to the other side of the tray to kind of help keep it suspended, just because it's one of these weird fetish places, so they had to put that extra flair on there. But he kind of raises a brow and he says, behind the curtain, are you going to?
A bit later. When are things supposed to start officially?
Oh, I mean, the festivities have already started, but we have a bit of a countdown going. We have it set for a few more hours still, so it's just idle games. And they gesture, um, not at the center stage, but against the wall that doesn't have the booths. But there's a TV that is quite large and over the bar, and says, the show will be on there in a couple hours. We'll get to see all the action as it happens live. It's so exciting.
Did you notice either of the two ladies that I came in with?
Hard to miss beauties like that.
Where did you last see them?
Last season? Well, one walked out this way, and the other followed close behind. Seemed very keen on keeping up with her.
Where were they headed?
Well, they were headed over that way, and he gestures in the direction the two of them had gone.
Thank you. One last thing. Make sure no one else can get behind the curtain. All right. I shouldn't have to check on this.
Curiosity gets the better of them finally, and they pull the curtain just enough to poke their head in. I feel like if you want them to not say anything, it's going to take some convincing.
Yep. Okay, I re-roll that. Come on,
Burn
better.
those
Oh,
dice.
better, but not. Ooh. 11.
11. Alright, so with a attempt to persuade. Not that one.
I assume that's
Influence
charisma.
other. Yeah,
Yep,
so it was
11.
plus charisma. So they do what you ask, but I get to pick something fun. So we'll rise further. No, we've had enough of those. Gives in for the moment. Fun. Okay. They look at you and they look back into the room and they say, "Silence isn't really cheap, handsome. I'm sure you could spare 5 minutes to make it worth my while."
I am sure it's worth more than your life. Do you understand me?
They look a little nervous, and the GM definitely decides to pick the other option, and they nod their head, and they say, "Of course, I won't tell anyone."
Feel free to inform the host that something has happened. Do not alert the guests.
Not at all. And
Thank
they
you. What was
take a
what was your name
big-
again?
Oh, you can call me Billy.
Thank you, Billy. All right, and then I go off in the direction of where Nora and Ashlyn went.
And Billy immediately goes off to notify the authorities. But anyways, Professor, are you heading off after the ladies as well? Just trying to keep a track of where everybody has ended up.
Yeah, if the Zeke looks behind the curtain and Ashlyn goes after Nora, he's gonna look towards Howler. Seems you were right.
It would seem so. And he kind of looks at you, Professor, and he says, "I did not expect a murder this early. Curious." And he gives you a knowing wink.
I'm kind of not surprised, actually. I'll see you around, Howler.
We'll see you very, very soon.
I'm sure.
Nora, what direction are
Yeah.
you heading? Sorry.
No, just either casually like stroll out after them.
Nora, what direction are you heading?
She's heading back to the locker room to get her clothes. Now that she knows where Noah's at, she's not wasting any time.
And you hear the soft footfalls of Ashlyn coming up behind you as you start to get changed.
Nora, what are you going?
I just need some fresh air. It's a little much in here.
Here, I'll go with you. We're not in New York anymore.
Aren't we still in New York?
No, I don't know what this place does, but it's not in New York, and it's very difficult to get out. Noah had to bust through some kind of wall to get out last time we were here.
Sure. Yeah. No, yeah, come along. I'm sure it'll be really helpful to have you with me.
Okay.
You
And
seem
Ashlyn will
to know a
start.
lot about this place.
Well, we can't go out. The entrance is not the exit. I know that.
So, how did... Okay.
I think once we're dressed, the Howler can let us out. That's kind of what happened the last time.
No, I mean, don't you think we could find the exit by ourselves?
We could try.
Why don't we try? I don't want to pull him away from the party. I'm sure he has more important things to do than let two girls out of a club.
All right, then. Well, if you know where, if you need some air, why? Let's hurry up. Now she'll start getting dressed.
Zeke, it's about this time that you will arrive as the ladies have returned to more modest clothing. The professor's not too far behind you.
Where are you two going?
Just to get some fresh air.
I'll go with you.
I don't know. I mean, have you found any leads on Noah?
I have.
You have? Well, what did you learn?
Let's get some air. I'll tell you then.
Would
This
I
place-
know how to get out of here?
Would you know how to get out? Let's see here. I gotta go through. Not you, but as you all finish getting dressed and you decide to go up for air, you see the warning that that Ashlyn had given about the exits not quite being the exit. And Zeke, you can roll me a plus soul for a moment.
Six. Wait. No, 8.
Oh, it's not much
I'm
better.
sure that- Yeah.
While the doorway to everyone else seems bricked off, Zeke approaches it and sees that amongst the brick there is one that stands out, and it's not the same reddish color, but it's a soft gold. And on it, there's a stamped emblem of a skull with 4 spider legs growing from each side of it.
I press it.
And you press on it, and the gold brick slides in and turns, and you see the rest of the brickwork start to shift and move, and you all see that this doorway starts to change and open, and what you end up seeing, instead of the dark alleyway, appears to be a new location, somewhere very, very far from where you had originally set out. It looks like you've crossed into a new location. Everything seems brighter. That light-absorbing neon sign has been replaced by an old wooden sign with faded paint. It still reads Xanadu on it, but the colors, while faded, the carved script looks very fanciful and like somebody had done it by hand and with intricate care. The shape of the X, the long vowels, and all of the letters all standing out a little differently than the one before it. And you see that the pathway that led into the alley has been replaced by more of these gold bricks that kind of wind their way out and onto an open street that seems to be veiled by rampant plant growth on each side.
Ladies first.
Does this feel like where she knows Noah to be?
For that matter, you have this strange connection with Noah to begin with, and let me see here, because I can put a new thing into play now that we're talking about connections with Noah. Let's go so far down. Okay. When you think about where Noah might be in this connection to him that you've had, that seems to have grown stronger since you've arrived in New York, I need a keep it together roll from you.
Thank you.
It's plus willpower.
Yes. Together.
Okay.
Super keeping it together.
Super keeping it together. There's the
No throwing up for Nora.
Yeah, there is the briefest contraction pain. It hits you suddenly, but you're able to brace and endure it without much pain. But it's a odd feeling to hit you so suddenly.
She just sort of takes a deep breath to like breathe through that brief pain. I think we're getting close.
Stepping out, does it look like New York? Does it look like a different part of New York?
It looks like New York if New York had been splashed with a coat of dreamy, almost Feywild kind of imagery over top it. There's plants growing over the buildings. Their colors seem a little more vibrant. Then instead of a gross pollutant fog, there's more of a pleasant, airy mist that hangs in the air. It all seems strange and inviting. When you look down at the ground, the gold brickwork seems to be moving only in one direction. In the opposite direction of the sidewalk, it is just normal dirt path.
Do we follow the yellow brick road?
Yeah, Nora steps out, just sort of following that feeling, actually wishing that she was in more pain to just start following the yellow brick road.
Yeah. And so the four of you set off. And I totally didn't intend to do this until Zeke had accidentally rolled it. But the four of you start skipping down this yellow brick road. Nora with a little dog in her hands. Wizard of Oz, remnant and all.
I have silver hair. I guess I'm the Tin Man.
Yep, you're the Tin Man. Zeke is the Scarecrow now. The professor is the lion. It's fine.
If I only had a brain.
It's
I only
fine.
had a heart.
I totally planned for this Wizard of Oz reference when I gave you this tiny dog.
Call him Toto.
Yeah. Toto the Destroyer.
I will get you, my pretty.
You guys make your way following this brick pathway. Nora, you get the feeling that it is taking you exactly where you needed to go. You were given exactly the information you needed to find him. You knew that it was a building not far from here that was supposed to be abandoned. And you get the feeling that it might have been for appearance's sake. But each of you knows, just by looking at this place, that you're not in New York anymore, or at least you're somewhere New York adjacent. Given with how strange everything has been, it would seem that this isn't the right place. This isn't normal. Professor, it seems familiar to you. This area seems to be reminiscent of places you've seen before. And as you're walking with the others, you hear just the faintest dong dong of a Japanese guitar, and then the feeling of hands settle on your shoulders, and the voice, Delvin. All four of you hear this voice say Delvin.
He'll look to his side. Is she there?
She is. The four of you see a beautiful woman in richly ornate purple and gold spun into a kimono. Her face is painted white with grays and blacks that make a skull that obscures her features, but not enough to show that the beauty that she has is also masking a terribleness to her as well. She has dark hair that is put up into a tight bun, and a pair of spiked chopsticks hold it in place, and a little paper fan is obscuring the lower part of her mouth when she speaks, and she says, "Who are your friends, Delvin? I did not know you were bringing visitors."
Neither did I. Seems we stumbled our way here.
Stumbled here. You didn't come to see me of your own volition.
Not this time. But soon.
The three of you who are not the professor, who will automatically fail this as a reflection of her ire, please roll see through the illusion plus soul.
$11.
13.
6 and a 13.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Excuse me. No, something nodded right up in the... Testing. There we go. Something was stealing the voice right there. Nora was choking me, apparently.
No,
She
it
has
was
that effect.
Zeke.
It was Zeke. Yeah, Zeke did it. Zeke did it.
He was the last one.
Well, you technically are an obstacle to her getting to Noah.
It's true.
Possibly, yes.
I like that. Keep reminding each other that you're all in each other's way. I'm sure.
No, I mean at the end.
Yeah. I mean, that remains to be seen. For those of you who did not fail, which would be Zeke and Nora, you see through what should be the illusion of New York City, what should be the illusion of the normal, surprisingly tame guise of this, albeit out of place, feudal Japanese woman, and you see that she's not short in stature, but actually towering over the professor. She's almost 8 feet tall. Her hands are pale, but her fingers are elongated, crooked, and where normally gentle painted nails would be, they've formed more into elongated talons. And the paper fan, while she's making an effort to cover her lower mouth, every so often she moves it to speak, and you see that her mouth has several rows of shark-like fangs concealed within her bright red painted lips, perfectly visible when she starts to speak. Ashlyn, you see all of this, and it's not normal. It's not something that's comforting to gaze upon, and your stability drops considerably with all of this. Where are you at currently with your stability? You are composed. Your stability is going to go down to shaken, because this is not something you were expecting to see. It's a little unnerving, as it were. But Professor, yours is also going to go down because you automatically fail as her punishment for you refusing her. So just take that down 3 points. And so she looks to the professor and looks at each of you and says, "You have entered my realm, and I was not expecting guests."
We apologize. We were not exactly expecting to be in your realm specifically. We ask humbly for right to pass through.
What gift do you offer me in exchange for passage?
Delvin, what kind of gifts does your lady like?
Do I know?
Do you know? Delvin, please, because I love seeing the possibility of these rolls. Just give me a plus reason roll. Over time, you've probably started to figure out what pleases and displeases her.
So I can just roll investigate, right?
Mm-hmm.
During this, like, Nora's arm just like shoots out to grab Ashlyn. She's like, "Why are we talking to this thing? Shouldn't we run?"
How far do you think you
we
get?
are in her domain.
And she hears the way you refer to her. She says, "Thing." And
What did she say?
she questioned why Nora called her a thing.
I just
I'm
go,
not going
she's
to-
stupid.
I'm going to have her make a move against Nora.
Oh no.
And she says, stupid girls must be punished. 49. Let me find my move table here. I crave violence.
Me too.
What?
I crave violence.
You guys are just talking to this thing like it's normal. It's this 8-foot tall, like. No!
Hey, it's just like in Ghostbusters when something comes and asks, "Are you a god?" You say yes.
All right. Please give me a.
How fast can you run from a hurricane?
Yeah.
A hurricane on fire now.
Sharknado.
Please roll me a endure injury. It's going to be a roll plus fortitude minus any current harm that you have.
Well, thanks to all of Ashland's lovin', I don't have any harm.
You're welcome.
10 success with complications. So she says stupid girls must be punished, and with just the laziest of gestures with her clawed hand, Nora, you feel with surprising force and speed for how limply she made the gesture, a pair of claws rake across your chest, and you were still standing, but the injury throws you off balance, and you're knocked back several feet and onto your butt.
Is the dog okay?
There was the option for you to lose something, but the dog is fine.
Oh no.
Yeah. The dog is okay, and the dog looks at you, and it just says, "Submit."
Submit to it. She's in our way.
We cannot win.
Then what do we offer her?
You may try to fight, but I cannot guarantee your safety.
Nora will like stand shakily to her feet, just surprise and confusion all over, like written all over her face. Then we have to give her what she wants. And her eyes sort of settle on the back of the professor. And she just whispers to Doc, "If we give him to her, do you think she'll let us pass?"
Do you think I would be merciful, Delvin, if they submit?
Wait, what?
Can we hear her talking to him?
Mm-hmm. You
Okay.
all can see this.
What did she say?
Nora had asked, "Will she be merciful if they submit?" And she basically said the same thing back, waiting for your response. Everybody seems to be looking at the professor for what to do.
Because Ashlyn had asked the professor what she would want.
And I do need to give you that answer still, Sphinx. I haven't forgotten. You know this woman. You know her quite well. You know that she goes by the name Dream Princess. You know her more intimately as Yoko Sakai. But she is one of the entities that exists within the dream realm. And it's a realm that you all have stumbled into. Specifically, why she's important to you is because she falls into that purview of everything that you're interested in. Cults that worship her tend to explore forbidden desires and other sexual acts and things that go just a little bit deeper beyond the normal lewd and crude acts. But she is usually generally open to offerings of beautiful things that might appeal to her vanity. She also accepts blood, and she'll even be more than a little willing to accept mortal souls if they're offered. Delvin has the power to offer one of his friends for passage if he so desires.
Well, coming here was somewhat unexpected, but given the fact that she's shown up in front of him twice already, he pulls from his pocket one of his treasures that he kept in his office at his house from his research room.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hair ornament, platinum, with sapphires at the tips. And he asks, would you is this worthy for you?
Roll me plus charisma to try and influence another.
Can I reroll?
Yes, absolutely. Oh dear. Would you like the 13 or the 13?
I'll take the 13.
I'll take the
Every
13.
destiny.
He's basically asking, does she think it's beautiful enough for her to wear?
Mm-hmm. And you see, you know the look in her eye for a powerful entity, something akin to a god, in the sense of a Greek deity, not ones that are imperfect and vain, just like humans. You see this flash of desire as she looks upon this beautiful jewelry, and she tries to keep her face stoic and impartial, but you know that you've sunk a hook in, and she makes a gesture of holding her hand out, the long fingers curling or uncurling and straightening out. And she says, "It's acceptable for now, but if I find that you dawdle here, more will be expected."
It's understandable.
Question: does she have red hair?
No, it's dark
Okay.
black hair.
Then we should probably be on our way.
I
Thank
don't
you.
think so. She nods her head towards Zeke, who had been very polite this entire time. Showing respect where respect is due goes a long way in dealing with gods.
I bow as well, and then I kind of look up and have a slight smile, and I'm like, "And what would you like me to call you if I ever get to see you again?"
You may refer to me as the Drink Princess.
So fitting. Then it will be so, Princess.
It was definitely impactful to meet you.
It certainly was, for some of you more than others.
I apologize for my rude intrusion, and he'll put his hand on top of hers and kind of bow towards her hand.
Reconsider my offer, Delvin. There is still a chance for me to not be upset with you.
Me?
Well, let's be on our way then.
You have my answer soon.
Time is a ticking clock. You do not have much longer.
You give a slight smile and a nod, acknowledging that he understands.
Ashlyn kind of like out of the corner of her mouth. We should find what we're looking for and leave. We should find what
Yeah.
we're looking for and leave. She kind of says like out of the corner of her mouth.
The tall,
Be
imposing
patient.
figure steps to one side, a gesture of showing that you can continue on the brick road.
Yeah,
I appreciate your allowance.
Walk steadily but with purpose.
let's go.
And so, it's a little early, but I think this is a good place for us to wrap up. The last thing you all see as you start to approach is you see that there is, in fact, this rundown, abandoned, in quotes, looking building. It looks like there's an effort to make it look like nobody lives there, but those who know that homeless vagrants and other squatters can always make such a place look that way and still have it quite livable on the inside. This is where the brick road ends, and it's a multi-storied building So you get the feeling that looking for Noah is not going to be an easy task. But there's somebody at least who says they can feel and find him based on that. And so that's where we'll wrap up tonight. Kind of call it here so that we have a little more fun to do and can jump right into the action next week. So, we'll conclude with everybody going around telling us once again who you are, where we can find you, and let's say what is your character's I want it to be interesting, something spicy. Maybe next week. I'll think of something better. Put on the spot. What was your what was your favorite moment this week? We'll just go ahead and keep it simple. We'll go same order. It'll go just counterclockwise. Dino, Sphinx, Jack, and then up to Scribbles.
Dido, you can find me on Twitter at Dido11. And Monday and Wednesday nights, 7:30 and 8:30 Eastern on Swindler's Den, where I do a homebrew and Icewind Ale. I kind of had two favorite moments. One was finding out that I can make another person fall in love with me, i.e. Ezekiel. And people just kind of leaving Ashlyn alone, like they think that's a good thing.
Why would anyone think that was a bad choice? Everybody else had their own stuff to get done. There's no way it'll come back to get you. Let's drop
better
down
not.
to... It better not. I mean, hey.
I was about to say, but bear in mind, I said Ezekiel would absolutely fuck Ashley.
And then that was another thing she liked, because she's already got Nora, who's falling in love with her, because she's used her seducer on her quite a few times. So that was a good piece of... I really liked learning that piece of information a lot.
Listen, you guys are just going into this dirty, disheveled, abandoned building. That's the best place for you guys to just really let off some steam.
You know what?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It just has to be an intimate moment. Intimate for one is not intimate for another.
It's true. It's true. Right on down to Sphinx, the good professor, who we keep learning very little about him and so much at the same time.
Yeah, I'm Sphinx RL on Twitter, Sphinx RL on Twitch. I'm not here. You usually find me playing in Honey and Dice's Call of Cthulhu game, Clockwork Mines, Sundays at 7 Central. That's about what, when I'm not lurking in people's chats anyway. And I think my favorite part was watching everybody try to plan their end games.
Yeah.
Everybody has a win strategy that they're trying to work out. It was interesting to see.
I really want to see who's going to come out on top for this one. All right.
I mean, I'm sure I know who I'll be on top of, but...
Hey. I mean, you have two options, so...
For now.
Mm-hmm.
Why not both?
Why not both?
Why not all three?
So, why
not?
Why have such a limited view of the situation?
We got too many people in this group trying to kill each other.
Yeah.
I was going to say, the professor might just be into watching.
He seems the type.
Uh, well, I'm Count Jacula. You can find me here on Twitch at Count_Jacula. You can also find me on Twitter at Jack Satanwave, which is right there under my right above my character's name, actually. And you can also find me on Instagram at Satanic Jacula. I stream here on Twitch twice a week on Thursdays and Sundays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And you should come by because, yeah, we get up to some hijinks. We talk about all sorts of groovy, naughty, grimy little things. Last night was a big conversation. We had a big conversation on YouTube true crime channels, what is both good and bad about them. And that was a lot of fun. Of course, there were a lot of twists and turns and tangents along the way, which you are all welcome to come and witness firsthand. My favorite part was probably Nora killing that guy.
That was a good
Because
scene.
that was a little unexpected. Like, if Ashlyn had killed somebody, it would have been like, yeah, okay, that's normal. If the professor had killed somebody, it would be like, oh, okay, it's going to be like that.
Mhm.
Nora killing someone was like, okay, well, we just found out something about her that we didn't realize.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. You
As
know?
long as you don't think about it, it's fine.
Exactly.
She's totally going to use the Berkowitz defense. Well, the dog told me to do it, you know. Like,
God told me to do it.
God told me to do it through this dog.
You don't know it was her.
What is it, Toto? Kill them all and leave them by the shallow grave at the side of the road.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
It's
Oh
fine.
man, no, I do think it's pretty funny that she's got like the exact opposite of a conscience in this game. Like this little dog is just like, I should just keep doing that. Keep being evil. Yeah, just do that. You know, I think the dog is going to be the winner. Actually, dog's going to kill us all.
Oh yeah, for sure. Dog is the big bad evil guy.
Yeah.
Can
I
a
can
dog
neither
be a big
confirm.
bad evil guy?
No, dogs are not
No.
bad. They're good.
But it might not be a
Big,
dog.
good- Big, good, best boys.
It just may not be a dog. May only look
That's
like
true.
one.
I only play one on TV.
Maybe.
But let's kick it right on up to Scribbles and her wonderful dog.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm Scribbles, Scribbling Penny on Twitter. I interact in the chat usually as Weave the Tale. And my favorite moment was definitely the professor and like just like all of his dialogue. And just like watching people. Like it's amazing. And then killing that guy. Because she is willing to do anything to get to Noah. Just because she's a really good sister and nothing else, and because the dog told her to, so it's fine. But Zeke was the last person to come out of that room. He was the one that's being all sketchy with the gloves, so
It's true.
There's probably
There's no
actually
reason to suspect you
him.
at all.
exactly, like, look at this face and stuff, like, she would never. Totally innocent, just needed a breath of fresh air. Other than that, you can find me over on Penny for a Tale on Sunday evenings, 8:30, playing Age of Ashes, Pathfinder 2e campaign. I will be gone for the next couple of weeks, but everyone else will be there, and the story is absolutely amazing. So make sure you check that out. Other than that, big announcement on Weave the Tale is just that our Dragon Age campaign is, for the foreseeable future, canceled for now, but we have some stuff in the works, so don't worry if you are wanting amazing TTRPGs, because you still have KULT, and it's great. So yeah.
All right. Well, that leaves me. Hi, I'm Brendis of Party Wipe Games. You can catch us most days of the week, either here on Weave the Tale or at Party Wipe Games, where we run our own shows. Mondays are a free day currently. Tuesdays, we do Vampire the Masquerade, where I'm the storyteller for a Phoenix based coterie. Um, they have inadvertently started a Thin Blood revolt by completely bankrolling the misrepresented and downtrodden cast of people within Vampire Society, and it's fine. So we'll see what happens there. Wednesdays is free, but if you watched last Wednesday, we were in the one shot and we played Defiant, where I was the villain and I won, and it was amazing. And there definitely wasn't any kind of gaslighting, and I did not use the awesome destructive power of being a Karen to get exactly what I wanted. It was amazing. For you guys, for anyone who didn't see it, I played basically the villains, which are the Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and I played war. And apparently, psychological warfare to me includes being just a Karen to just completely decimate my enemy, and so it worked.
You're going to call everyone. You're going to call for everyone's manager. You know,
Yep.
You want the manager's manager. You want God's manager. That's what you want.
I told them they were going to let me in the building and thank me for the privilege afterwards. It was so good. But yeah, we took part in the one shot on Wednesday. Thursdays, I am over on Valdrian's channel, who takes part in the Fallout, Modifius sponsored Fallout game on this one, where we play a modified Blaze in the Dark game, and that's a whole lot of fun. I really am enjoying that, and happy to announce that it seems our Trudvang game will be continuing its recording now that we've been able to get back in touch with the sponsors for that, because we are like way over schedule for that one, and I love the players, but it was supposed to be done weeks ago, and so hopefully we will be back into full-on recording, and we'll eventually get that out for you guys, because it's a great show and a great cast, and Mitch is an amazing storyteller. Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, we are of course here. And this game is wrapping up in 2 more sessions, and I gotta really make sure that you guys don't kill each other next session, so that we can actually get to that final session, because it feels like you're slowly getting to that point of PvP, and we'll see what happens. Saturdays,
Death is only the beginning.
Death is only the beginning. Yeah, I can totally have
KULT,
an epilogue.
yeah.
I can have an epilogue episode of just what happens after you guys die horribly, and we could just explore that. That would be neat. We'll see what happens. I'm sure we can swing 2 more episodes out of this. Saturdays, we have a 5th edition game for a brand new DM, and a longtime member of Party Wipe Games has decided to put on his first time DM hat. And so it's their custom homebrew campaign, and it's really exciting, and we're encouraging him to be a great DM, which he is. Sundays, we also play Savage Worlds, and that is everybody. So we are good to wrap up.
All right.
Yeah. Do we have anybody we can send us these fine folks over to Raid? Perception Studios, but I think they ended as soon as we did that last time, right? We'll go somewhere, I guess. I don't control. I'm just making suggestions.